Good evening and thank you for joining us. The Thunder Bay Police Service's second highest ranking officer has been suspended pending an internal investigation. The Police Services Board announced today that Deputy Chief Ryan Hughes has been taken off duty. No reason was given. The news comes on the same day the province's Special Investigations Unit announced it's launching a new probe into the death of a local Indigenous man in 2015. Jonathan Wilson has more.
Inspector Ryan Hughes was promoted to Deputy Chief in August of 2019. The Police Services Board is in charge of hiring the Chief and Deputy Chief, and the Board chose Hughes to serve as Chief Sylvie Hoth's right hand. Now, just over 2 years later, Hughes is under suspension with pay. Board officials declined interviews, but released a statement saying the Board can confirm that Deputy Chief Ryan Hughes has been suspended pending an internal investigation. The Board cannot comment further at this time, as this is a human resources matter, and await the outcomes of the investigation. The move comes as the police force leadership and the board have become the subject of numerous human rights complaints and public criticism from the president of the Police Association. There's no word on whether those complaints and the suspension are connected. Meanwhile, the SIU announced it's launching an investigation into the 2015 death of Aaron Loon. The 20-year-old's body was found in Junot Park in March of that year. City police said he died of hypothermia and closed the case. But the OIPRD questioned that finding and included Loon on a list of 9 Indigenous deaths that should be looked at again. 2 investigators have been assigned to the case, and anyone with information, photos, or video is being urged to contact the SIU. Jonathan Wilson, TBT News.
Meanwhile, Thunder Bay Police are investigating the city's first homicide of the year. The sudden death was reported earlier this week at a Southside home. The Uniform Patrol Branch and Major Crimes Unit investigators attended this residence on the 300 block of Bethune Street after getting the call around noon on Wednesday. The deceased is an adult male, but few other details are being released at this time. Police announced today that they're treating the death as a homicide and the scene is being processed by the Forensic Identification Unit. A post-mortem is scheduled to take place in Toronto. Anyone with information is urged to contact City Police or Crime Stoppers. Well, to much more happy news now, the day that local curling fans have been waiting several years for is finally here. The 2022 Scotties Tournament of Hearts gets underway this evening at Fort William Gardens. And while it's not exactly how organizers envisioned it, due of course to COVID restrictions, Tournament Vice Chair Diane Emery says she can still feel the excitement across Thunder Bay.
It is different. I mean, it wasn't what we had originally planned, but you can't escape the excitement. Everyone I talk to is just so excited that the top women's curlers in Canada are here in our hometown in Thunder Bay. And tonight's the night. Of course, Team Northern Ontario, Krista McCarville and her rink are going to be taking on Chelsea Carey. So I know that TVs will be at full blast and cheering everybody on. So it's exciting. It's a great time.
Speaking of the McCarville rink, they're now in the Scotties bubble. Here they were earlier, entering the Gardens for an afternoon practice ahead of tonight's opening matchup against Chelsea Carey. Unfortunately, there will be no fans allowed for round-robin play, but Emery hopes people will still take part in the online 50-50 draws as the proceeds go to 3 local curling clubs.
And then there'll be one through the week and then on championship weekend. So we really encourage people to support that and it's been tough on the curling clubs during COVID. So this is a way for them to generate some revenue. So I really encourage people to support our 50-50, curlingcash.com.
Well, turning to COVID-19 now, case numbers are on the rise across northwestern Ontario, and there's one more COVID patient being treated at the Thunder Bay Regional Health Sciences Centre. The hospital is reporting 47 COVID-19 patients, up from 46 on Thursday. The number of those patients in intensive care is holding steady at 6. Overall hospital occupancy has risen to nearly 102%, and ICU occupancy remains at 86%. The Thunder Bay District Health Unit is reporting 225 new COVID-19 infections since its last update on Wednesday. There are now 341 active cases across the district, up from 302 cases 2 days ago. According to the health unit, there are 53 people in hospitals across the district and 8 in intensive care. The health unit's hospital numbers, however, typically aren't as current as those coming from the facilities themselves. The Northwestern Health Unit now has 407 active COVID-19 cases, up from 369 on Thursday. The 7-day testing positivity rate has risen to 25.5%. 3 people remain in NWHU area hospitals, with none in the ICU. Well, this is the last weekend of those strict health restrictions here in Ontario as the Ford government prepares to ease the measures on Monday. And nearly 2 years into the pandemic, the province's top doctor is now saying that we have to learn to live with COVID-19. Colin DeMello has more on that.
Stocking up, wiping down, and preparing to once again make an income.
Like 75%, I would say, of our actual income just went down the drain because of all these regulations.
Once people start coming in, things should hopefully start looking better for us.
The economic reopening next week kicks off a new approach to COVID-19 in Ontario.
We have to learn to live with it.
The declaration from the Chief Medical Officer of Health means the province will continue to dismantle the requirements that have helped Ontario track the virus thus far. Beginning Monday, most businesses will do away with contact tracing, a policy that's been in place since 2020.
It's a welcome change. It's been something that's been a hassle and a potential confrontation for our servers, so we're happy that contact tracing isn't there anymore.
But Ontario's strategic shift isn't being met with scorn. In fact, federal health officials say contact tracers cannot keep up with Omicron. And local health officials agree that Canadians will indeed have to live with the virus.
People are talking about, eventually getting to a point where COVID is more endemic. It's part and parcel of our background. You may see some flare-ups over time. What exactly that looks like will depend on what we see on the ground. But I think that it will involve using all those lessons we've learned over the last 2 years.
But for 2 years, the weight of the province's contact tracing policies fell onto the shoulders of restaurant owners. No more beginning next week.
It definitely takes a lot of stress off our servers, even me and my family, since we're a family-run business.
Saying they just want to focus on finally earning a living.
That was CTV's Colin DeMello reporting. Back here in our city, the District Social Services Board has released details of its latest point-in-time count, which was done back in the fall. The survey results provide insight into the extent of homelessness and the challenges faced by those living on the street. Vasilios Bellos reports.
The first point-in-time count, held in February 2016, identified 289 homeless individuals in Thunder Bay. The next one in April 2018 saw that number rise to 474. The pandemic delayed the latest count to this October, and just 221 surveys were completed over the 24-hour time limit. Thunder Bay DSAB CAO Bill Bradica says there were multiple reasons for that, including having just one public drop-in site at the CLE grounds due to COVID-19.
So the time of the year is different than the 2018 survey. That's one factor on the numbers being lower that completed the survey, but also the pandemic. It just wasn't available in as many locations that could be kept safe health-wise, and so that we feel limited in numbers.
This year's report saw some concerning trends from 2018 continue to worsen. The 2021 point-in-time count shows that 68% of survey respondents identify as Indigenous. Along with this, 70% of respondents have social assistance as their main source of income. Compiling the report and acquiring these statistics can be a difficult job, with DSAB's housing program lead Aaron Park explaining the importance of collaboration with other community groups.
Ourselves and Indigenous Friendship Center and the Lakehead Social Planning Council locally here, and also a variety of partners outside of the city of Thunder Bay. So we had the Rural Cupboard Food Bank, and we had PACE in a few of the communities to the east of the city of Thunder Bay.
More funding is something the DSAB and any group with similar interests could find use for, especially as we have seen homelessness issues become more severe because of the pandemic. Local officials had the chance to talk with 4 ministries at the recent Roma conference with this issue in mind. DSAB Chair Lucy Kloosterhuis explains what their goals were.
As a board, we discussed with the ministries the fact that we require more funding for capital funding for transitional housing. We're looking for further assistance with outreach to meet with those that require assistance from the DSAB board.
While DSAB leaders received no promise for funding at the recent NOMA conference, they're hoping for a formal commitment before the release of the Ontario budget. Vasilios Bellows, TBT News.
Lise Vaugeois will get another chance to beat longtime Liberal MPP Michael Gravel. She'll be running for the NDP once again in Thunder Bay Superior North. In the 2018 election, Vaugeois came close to unseating Gravel, losing by just 800 votes, and she thinks she has a good chance of winning the next provincial election this spring. The LU professor has been given the green light from the party and will be acclaimed at the virtual nomination meeting on February 17th. Bourgeois says she plans to keep familiarizing herself with the various communities in the riding until the election is called later this year.
I think when people have the chance to hear what we have to offer and meet me and have conversations, I think they will see that voting for me and voting for the NDP will bring us some better services that we really need here in the North.
Gravel has already confirmed he'll run again for the Liberals, and Thunder Bay City Councillor Peng Yu will carry the PC banner in the riding. A task force with a number of regional voices at the forefront has been launched to ensure the needs of Northern Ontario are met by the province's next transportation plan. NOMA President Wendy Landry is co-chair of the task force that also includes Treaty 3 Grand Chief Ogichita Francis Kavanagh, Kenora Mayor Dan Raynard, and Sioux Lookout Mayor Doug Lawrence. The group's main focus is safety. It will influence decisions on licensing and highway maintenance contracts while advocating for more funding for major projects like highway twinning.
Obviously, we've been advocating for divided highways for some time, and we've seen some traction on that, both with the Liberals and now with the government in office today. You know, with the work that's being done from Shunya out, and then also from Kenora out. And but let's be realistic; it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and it's going to take a lot of work and a lot of time. Look at how long it's taken just to get what we have today.
The 13-member task force is scheduled to have its first meeting next week. Gas prices hit an all-time high in Thunder Bay today. It's part of a broader trend happening across Ontario and the country. The price for a liter of regular gas nearly hit $1.60 at several stations around the city, reaching $1.59.9 this afternoon. Some other gas bars offered slightly lower prices, but were all a few cents higher than the previous local record of $1.54.9. Market analysts say a wide range of factors have led to the increase, including the price of crude oil and the Canadian loonie's strength versus the US dollar. And if you're thinking of waiting until the weekend to fill up, that might not be a good idea. Many are predicting another bump in the next day or two. Well, Marathon's Dan Sullivan is the latest big winner of the Thunder Bay 50/50 jackpot in support of the Regional Health Sciences Foundation. CEO Glenn Craig made the important call today.
How's up at Marathon today?
Cold, but I'm hoping it's going to get warmer.
Well, how warmer would it be if I told you you've just won $681,000?
Oh my God, you're kidding, man.
I'm not kidding you.
Oh, Glenn, thank you so much.
Yeah, $681,170.
Oh, Lord. Couldn't have come at a better time, man. We're needed super bad.
Sullivan has been a regular ticket purchaser of the Thunder Bay 50/50. He says he'll use some of the money to fix up his house, but his family also plans to take in a third rescue dog and donate some of the winnings back to the hospital and other organizations. Sullivan, who's a musician, says he doesn't need all of that money to live comfortably and wants to help make a difference in other people's lives. The tickets are already on sale for February's jackpot. That draw will be held on Friday the 25th.